Yes, sir. Murli, sir, you can start.
Yeah. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the 8th session of the Voice of Silence by Professor Shinde. We'll start with our invocation prayer. O hidden life, vibrant in every atom, O hidden light, shining in every creature, O hidden love, embracing all in oneness, may each who feels himself as one with thee, know he is also one with every other. I invite Professor Shinde to start the session, please.
Thank you, Brother Muralidharan, and thank you to Vimal ji, Mary ki, Geeta Subramanyam of Gandhinagar Lodge for giving me this opportunity to deal with the voice of the silence. In the last talk, we consider verses up to 75. And today we are going to consider from 75 onwards. So in the last verses, Voice of the Silence spoke about the road to the path. And it also said, relax, desire nothing, no resistance to karma. That is the road to the path. And also it spoke about the ladder. And rungs of the ladder represents the suffering and pain. Voice of the Silence also answered that at the end of this ladder, if you go on climbing rungs after rungs, at the end of the ladder, only Voice of the Silence is heard. And conditions to climb requires moral purity. Because any single voice, if it remains, you will be thrown from the ladder. This is what last time we studied. And now, in the verses from 75 to 85, the Voice of the Silence tries to impress upon us, not only we must kill out past memories and protect ourselves from the influences of Mara, but also we need to understand what is the significance of these forces of Mara. This is what in this section we are going to study. There are very interesting statements in this section. Rose must re-become the bud. Rose must re-become the bud. And child state need to be regained. These are the interesting statements which need to give a deeper thought. And further it says, before its trunk is withered by storm, rose must re-become the bud. Again, condition, before its trunk is withered by storm. It also speaks about the golden tree and 7 jewels. And finally, when I said moral purity, we must make the mind as a mountain stream which is limpid, without any impurity within it. So when we read this 75, it says, kill in thyself all memory of past experiences, look not behind, or thou art lost. That last time we dealt with this. Now 76 says, do not believe that lust can ever be killed out if gratified or satiated. For this is an abomination inspired by Mara. Abomination means something that causes disgust or hatred because it is considered morally wrong and contradictory to what is right. So it says, do not believe that lust can ever be killed out if gratified or satiated, because this is an abomination inspired by Mara. So it is the Mara's action upon us. It is by feeding vice that it expands and waxes strong, like to the worm that patterns on the blossoms of heart. These are very poetic words. The worm that patterns, we'll consider the commentary on it in the next this. Then the 77 says, the rose must re-become the bud born of its parent stem before the parasite has eaten through its heart and drunk its life's sap. So here child state need to be recognized. Means we need to be we have already lost our innocence. So mind's innocence must be regained. Because as we grow, the innocence of the mind is lost. But again it says, before the parasite has eaten through its heart and drunk its life sap. The parasites are nothing but our vices. So when we go to describe these 3 verses, the very 76, do not believe that lust can ever be killed out if gratified or satiated. It is true. Desire cannot be, we cannot end the desire only by enjoying pleasure and pain. So he who is seeking the light must ever be on guard against the traps of pitfalls on his road. Like, what are those pitfalls? Self-conceit, closely followed by vanity and false pride. So this self-conceit, followed by vanity and false pride, these are the pitfalls. Because as we are told over and over again, the higher we climb the ladder, the harder we shall fall if we make mistake. Very badly we fall down. Because fall down means suffering is acute. We become, why suffering is acute? Because we become super sensitive. And it is this super sensitiveness that makes us terribly aware of our shortcomings and mistakes. Well, psychologically, we fall down actually. Our own shortcomings we notice and we start blaming ourselves because we have become aware and super sensitive. And this is a really acute suffering to an aspirant. But again, as we progress, we become more and more of our shortcomings. But rather, therefore, as we know more and more our own nature, if you know yourself, if you know your temperament, if you know your attitude, then you are less attracted to the things of the material world. because one begins to see the strength of the spirit, the strength of the peace of the soul, and keeps his eyes always fixed upon the mountain pinnacle. It is only then that such Mara, Satan, excuses you, rather leaves such victorious pilgrim to proceed in the journey. But the only enemy now remains is our own making, like pride and the misuse of spiritual power. So power always corrupts. J. Krishnamurti warns us. If you get the spiritual power, that also corrupts you. And the only enemy that remain is such kind of our own making, pride and the misuse of spiritual powers. One more thing we must understand. What are these Mara? Here, this slide I have shown. Be patient with yourself. You are becoming someone you have never been before. But there are those Maras, they are attacking you. Is there any significance of these Mara? Yes, Mara and his servants of darkness. It is said, a chela is warned before he takes his first step on the path. First step is the last step. But before a chela, he is warned before he takes his first step on the path. And therefore, it is not easy and also it is not difficult. So taking first step, even though it is hard task, not easy one, but soul must determine to do that. Because the battlefield will be within ourselves. And Mara knows this. And he is terrible in his testing. He goes on testing us. The importance of significance of Mara. Mara is given actually this job. By whom it is given by this job is again a different, one can discover it. I have read it, but they are also, if they do wrong thing on the spiritual path to the aspirant, they are rewarded. And later on they are taken in the Deva kingdom like this. These are called fallen angels. So, but what I want to focus here, the prince of darkness, Satana, is already given this job to trouble the trying souls because of past disobedience. We are not obedient, we are disobedient, and that past karma is giving us trouble. And so we look upon the opposing forces as the unconscious quickener, making possible the birth of the spiritual nature in man. So these Maras are nothing but the spiritual quickeners, but unconscious. They are also not knowing that they are doing wrong thing, but they are also doing good things, giving stimulation to our spiritual nature within. So when otherwise Mara gets inspired to cause disgust and hatred, because that is its food. And therefore it is said, worm that fattens on the blossoms of your heart. So again, all this is in our heart. When heart is not pure, when there is hate in our heart, when there is enmity in our heart, on this hate and enmity, this worm feeds. And this worm fattens on the blossom of our heart. Means our heart is just blossoming, but this worm is fed by the such things, pride, hate, etc. In the next slide, I have shown the Buddhas. As I said, opposing forces are quickening our spiritual growth. And these opposing forces are supposed to be the fallen angels. If you quit the path, then these fallen angels are rewarded of 1 hour joy. This is what it is said. So karma is not punishment, but the inevitable sequence of cause and effect, the great law of justice which rules the world. This is what C.W. Leadbeater writes in The Inner Life. And you can read that Inner Life, volume 1 and volume 2. Then the rose must re-become the bud, born of its parent stem, before the parasite has eaten through its heart and drunk its life's sap. So here, remember this 77 and 78. The golden tree puts forth its jewel buds before its trunk is withered by the storm. These statements need to be given serious thought, not just read and left. These 77 and 78 verses state that, remember this, rose must re-become bud, so that the golden tree puts its jewel buds. And this all should happen before the trunk withers. The rose must become the bud means innocence of the mind should not be lost. And the golden tree means enlightened. We will speak about this. Because parasite, here is mentioned. What are parasites? Parasites are our desires, are our motives that make our heart impure. So about the rose must become the bud. This can be thought out. I referred the book of Dhyana, verse 7, and in that 7th chapter, it said, very nice, I quote it, I have clothed myself in thee, and thou art my Vahan. Vahan means vehicle. I have clothed myself in thee, and thou art my Vahan. Thou art my Vahan to the day. Be with us when thou shalt re-become myself. So here it is a kind of surrender. In the stanzas of Dhyana, and it applies to the rose must re-become the bud. The actually bud is clothed itself. It is the future lotus, but it is in the bud form, or future rose, but it is in the bud form. I have clothed myself in thee, thou art my vehicle to this day. Be with us when thou shalt re-become myself. So we as human beings are buds, and we are clothed in protective vehicles. But some freedom is given to us. We should not make hurry to go further. So the 78, the golden tree puts forth its jewel buds before its trunk is withered by the storm. A very nice further verses are there. Trunk is always there. Trunk is not lost. Its branches and leaves are withered, but trunk is always there. But in this verse it is said, before the trunk is withered, which means, I will explain it later on, But give a thought on this. Why it is said trunk is withered by the storm? When it is not withered, why it is said? That means its life is also not permanent. It is also going to wither sometime in the Manvantara, after one Manvantara. And the 78 says the golden tree puts forth its jewel buds before its trunk is withered by the storm. Let us deal with this. Golden tree represents who is the golden tree? Enlightened man is the golden tree. And the jewels are the 7 centers, potential centers, what we call chakras. Let me quote here what Royal Mackal, through his Temple Doors book, writes. Just imagine the nerves, and nerves are dissected from the body and maintained in situ. Here I have given this. He asks us to imagine nerves dissected from the body and maintained in situ. This, the Hermetic writer says, this is the outer physical manifestation of inner network. And they called house of net, the house of which Hermes master stays. It is another net, a true one, of which the physical nerves are only the image. This, they said, is the core or armature of the double. In the last talk, Vimalji talked about the etheric double. This is the core or armature of the double, that subtle body which is the central factor in all mystery systems, the body of the resurrection. Further, he says, this golden tree with jewels means 7 centers. We know this diagram in chakras, etc. How these inner nerves are having plexus and that tree. Look, mesh, replica of general form. So the 7 jewels, in short, we can say, right from the root center, because of this root center, because of root jewel, I am existing. Because of this sacral jewel, I am able to feel. Because of solar plexus, I am able to do. Because of heart plexus, I am able to love. And because of my throat potential center, I am gifted to speak out. And because of my third eye, I see. And then when I reach to the crown center, I know everything. So the 7 jewels or the 7 gate or the 7 centers, this is the golden tree. Enlightened man know this. Then why the bud is to be protected before its trunk is withered by the storm? This suggests that the disciples should begin working on this vehicle in order to regain that lost innocent, and that should happen before this Manvantara comes to an end, before the long sleep or pralaya overtakes him. So here that deep thought, this trunk is also withered when there is pralaya. Therefore it is said, before the trunk is withered by the storm, that is what it suggests. Then 79 says the pupil must regain the child state he has lost ere the first sound can fall upon his ear. Again, voice of the silence speaks a mystic sound. Before the sound can fall upon his ear. In this verse, what is this child state? Everybody has got a Buddha nature in him, and this Buddha state is lost. And Buddha state he has lost, and that need to be regained. 3 more points are given in this verse. The pupil must regain the child state he has lost ere the first sound can fall upon his ear. So one thing, he must think about his innocent mind, think about his personality should be subdued, and a little one. This little one, somebody called is as Buddha nature, somebody called as Jesus nature, and the mystic sound is the anahat sound, a sound without friction. So child state could mean that the personality has no more influence over the individual. Therefore, he can stand before the masters in all his purity and innocent. Then and then only the aspirant ready for further spiritual knowledge. That is first point we must remember. Second point, there is also another meaning for the child state, which is the little ones. In the gospel refers to the initiates of whom Jesus is little one. So child state is little one. This is how. And the voice of the silence again refers to mystic sound. The sound that falls upon the ear of the aspirant may be referred to as the sevenfold mystery of initiates or sevenfold mystery of initiation. You know, the Orpheus, according to the secret doctrine, was a great teacher. Orpheus was a great teacher, and he taught harmony, and was usually, it is symbolized with a stringed lyre, a symbol of the sevenfold mystery. So the higher self is ever sending. The next 80 is the light from the one master, the one unfading golden light of spirit, shoots its effulgent beams on the disciple from the very first. Its rays thread through the thick dark clouds of matter. See, thick dark clouds of matter, beneficent beams of light. And it is for the aspirant to be on the alert to catch those flashes of inspiration. How? Through his intuition. Mountain stream, that term is one of the lessons which the voice of the silence tries to impress us. So, limpid mountain stream, when you go to the mountain, we drink water from the mountain. It is always pure. It is origin there. So it is clear, it is transparent, pure. Like that, mind should become calm and stable emotionally. Then 81. Oh, sorry, 81. Now here. This is very interesting again. Now here, now there, these rays illuminate like sun sparks light the earth through the thick foliage of the jungle growth. But, O disciple, unless the flesh is passive, head cool, the soul as firm and pure as flaming diamond, the radiance will not reach the chamber. Its sunlight will not warm the heart, nor will the mystic sounds of the Akashic heights reach the ear, however eager at the initial stage. So, what is this Akashic heights? Akashic heights means clear space. There is a lot of space, and space is not vacant. It is full of intelligences, full of many things. Matter, spirit, intelligences, everything is there. But Akash is clear space. So this, we need to have some, give serious thought to this. To understand the mystic sound. Mystic sound, as I said, is anahat sound. It is a melody. The heart beats with a melody. It is a rhythm. And that rhythm heard by the aesthetic or mother can listen to this rhythm of the son's heart. So this mystic sound is a melody heard by the ascetics at the beginning of his cycle of meditation. And that comes from the Akashic heights. This is how the poetic words are used. And its preliminary substance is nothing but ether. Unless there is ether, but preliminary ether. Not that ether which brings friction, but it is a melody. One of the lower manifestation in our solar system. This ether is the subtlest ether, and it is one of the lower manifestation in our solar system. So we are speaking of this subtlest ether. And second is, air is the great breath of Akasha. So the word Akasha which is used, it has got deeper meaning. Air is the great breath in Akasha. And it is that which gives rise to this feeling of the inner touch, to which the voice refers in the text, in the next few verses. Here again, air and ether is mentioned. Air that we take, we say oxygen. You know oxygen, it is a, prana is not oxygen. It's something, a great breath comes from the Akash and keeps us conscious. So next 82, unless thou hearest, thou cannot see. Very interesting statement. Unless thou hearest, thou cannot see. Unless thou seest, thou cannot hear. To hear and see, this is the second stage. In the book Talks on the Path of Occultism, volume 2, which is commentary on this Voice of the Silence, we learn that unless the condition is responsive to the inner voice, and that unless he understands the spiritual laws and looks upon things with the eyes of spirit, he will never see the outer things as they really are. So it is something like Jane cone. See, it is these two, 82 and 83, it is like a cone, Jane cones to solve. It is like Jane cone because Jane Cone's mind cannot understand. You must go beyond the mind. Then only Jane Cone can be solved. Otherwise, it becomes a paradoxical. It says one cannot see unless one hears. One cannot hear unless he sees. How paradoxical. This seeing and hearing is coexisting. Action and inaction coexisting. This seeing and hearing is coexisting state. Mind cannot even imagine this state. The human mind, which is gifted in the course of evolution, it has got no capacity to imagine this coexisting state of hearing and seeing. Because our mind is known to divide, our mind is known to rule, divide and rule, divide and perceive, analyze and understand. This is what we do with our mind. But again I say, innocent mind, child state, rose must become bud. Such innocent mind knows this, because in this innocent mind is just a state of perception, nothing more. Between meditation and experience, child sees and absorbs everything. Meditation and experience is a balanced interplay between inner and outer. This is what a pupil must seek to do. How? By watching and by listening only we learn and we attain spiritual height. If you read the book, The Cloud of Unknowing, suggests that there are two lives to be lived simultaneously. One is the contemplative life, and the other is the active life. So these are the two lives. One is the contemplative life, and the other is the active nature. The active nature being the lower, and contemplative nature is the higher. That book speaks, The Cloud of Unknowing. It speaks of the condition of active life is such that it is both having beginning as well as ending. Whereas contemplative life has no, it is begun in this life, but it lasts without end. This is the difference between contemplative life and active life. That is what there should be a balanced interplay between inner and outer. That is what we say. Then when we come to the 84, when the disciple sees and hears, when he smells and tastes, how eyes closed, ears shut, with mouth and nostrils stopped, when the four senses blend and ready are to pass into the fifth, that of the inner touch, then into the stage, the fourth, he has passed on. It is to understand the inner meaning of senses. Last time I mentioned in my talk that your eyes are not seeing, but your souls are seeing. So soul sees through the eyes. Eyes are not seeing. Eyes are just instrument. Soul is seeing through the eyes. HPB said in Secret Doctrine, in the realm of hidden forces, the audible sound is but a subjective, and also invisible sound. Subjective audible sound is in the form of color or form, and perspective color or form. But there is also invisible sound. And all this is beyond the five senses. There is a complex world of human perception. So, in order to become rather acquainted with the inner man, the aspirant must learn to withdraw into himself and give his whole attention to the voice in the silence. And following may be interest in getting to understand the inner meaning of the senses. Please listen to this. What our senses are telling us. Beyond the five senses, there is a complex world of human perception. That is what HBB says. So our sight is a symbol of perception of the truth by the intellect. So what we see or we perceive by the intellect. Of course, soul is seeing through our intellect. That is what we call sight. Then hearing, the intuitive perception of the truth from within the soul. So seeing is soul seeing through intellect, and hearing is the soul hearing through intuitive, and smelling state, man learns something from that inner condition, and taste, a state in which man begins to know something of this inner state, and touch is now in touch with this inner state or condition. He is now knows. When a man knows, he becomes the law. This is how voice of the silence is very deeper, and it explains this inner seeing and how these five senses can, there is a complex world of human perception. This is just verbal description. So one needs to go to this silence. The next projection is very nice. This Blavatsky gives. This seeing is different. Before the soul can see, the harmony within must be attained, and fleshy eyes be rendered blind to all illusions. So our fleshy eye sees the material world, whereas spiritual eye sees the spiritual world. This is what the statement in the Bible. So next slide. Remember, as we grow older, we cannot see small letters. Perhaps this is a sign that we should now ignore small things. So stop searching now and try to see directly. As long as you know who you are and what makes you happy, it does not matter how others see you. Good relations never earn profit, but always make you rich. This is what today I want to put before you, some of the thoughts on these verses from 75 to 85. To sum up, this 75 to 85 verses, they try to impress upon us mainly 5 points. Number 1, we must kill out past memories and protect ourselves from the influence of Mara. And also we must understand the significance of Mara. These bad forces are also stimulating our spiritual growth. Second point we always must remember rose must re-become the bud and child state need to be regained. Child state here is regaining our innocence mind. Then the gold, it speaks about golden tree and seven jewels. Golden tree is the enlightened man, and seven jewels are the chakras. Then it also speaks about before its trunk is withered by storm. So here trunk, we must finish our spiritual cycle within this manvantra. Otherwise, we will be lying behind. So before its trunk is withered by storm, you must purify yourselves morally. And last, making the mind as a mountain stream, keep it as limpid mountain stream. Limpid means pure, unsullied. This is what we studied today. If anybody wants to ask, they can ask. Otherwise, one has to contemplate on all these things. Thank you very much. Thank you to everyone who are observing this.
Yes, thank you so much, sir. It was a very tough thing to grasp. So I hope there are some questions or discussions which helps us to understand better. So all of you all can take a little time, but maybe you can come up with some questions that you have.
Better, Vimalji, collect those questions and we will prepare for those and we will answer in the next meeting. Because next
Okay.
meeting will be the 2nd July. And
Okay.
that will be the end of the first fragment, Voice of the Silence.
Okay,
And I
sir.
also give some homework because it is a study class. What homework one should do, that also give next time all those details.
Okay, sir. So we have
I
a
think
few
we can
minutes.
ask them to. Yeah. Sorry.
Yes, now you can ask any doubts are there.
Sir, generally I'm asking one very maybe this a thought comes to my mind that is the path or the occult path which is suggested by our voice of silence, light on the path, is it different from the path suggested by the Buddha?
Oh, yes. It is not different from the path suggested by the Buddha. It is not at all. We are following. How you feel it is different from the Buddha?
So that is very simple, clear. You are focusing your mind, you're working on purification of the mind, you are stay clear. It is like anger, greed, delusion. This is the three poisons. Then what quality of mind you have to develop? It's all very clear. All this is so difficult to understand.
No. Buddha is also difficult. I will let you know. Let you know. Just a minute. Good thing you have asked. You see, I was to give this PowerPoint. I read it here. Sorry. Only the seen in the heard. Only the heard in the sensed. Only the sensed in the cognized. Only the cognized. This is Udana something. And he explains, Buddha is explained here. This instruction cuts directly through the tendency to insert a psychological center into existence. Seeing occurs, hearing occurs, cognition occurs, yet nowhere within this process can an independent commentator be found. The burden of self-construction relaxes when direct experience is allowed to stand on its own without appropriation, interpretation, ownership, or resistance. This is from the Buddha, the one Udana something, Udana. I have with me this Buddha's teaching. Very same likewise of the silence. All this Mahayana Buddhism we are following.
Okay, sir, let us just for a few minutes stop this discussion and answer the questions that are coming. Two questions have come. Can you elaborate on chakras? Mr. Krishna is asking, or Miss Krishna, Mr. Krishna, I don't know. Can you elaborate on chakras?
You put that slide, chakras, we have put that one.
Yes, sir.
This is explained in Chakras book by Leadbeater. He can read it. See, these chakras are corresponding with the, these are the potential centers. They are corresponding with the plexuses, the nerve plexuses. And these nerve plexuses are pelvic plexuses, solar plexus, then the splenic plexus, cardiac plexus, pulmonary plexus, pharyngeal plexus, sympathetic ganglion or super cervical. These are the carotid plexus upon. All these are the what biology or anatomy of human body is found is the nerve plexuses. And these nerve plexuses finally end into the nadis. This is what the figure is given. And in Voice of the Silence says, the rays go out through the cloud, through the tree. That is what I want to focus here. And in simple way to explain these potential centers in the next stage as the 7 jewels or 7 gates. You know, Christmas tree, golden tree, enlightenment is golden tree. And Christmas tree is the golden tree where 7 lights are put. And these 7 lights are symbolical. So when 7 chakras we see, all these are the potential centers. They are not fully active, but they are also not inactive. They are active, whatever is required. And because of this potential center in the pelvic plexus or sacral plexus, I am existing, I am feeling, I am acting, I also love unconditionally, and I have power to speak, power to see, and power to know. These are the functions of these 7 chakras. They are helping us, no doubt. These are the potential centers. To investigate the human potential, that is one of our objects of the Theosophical Society. You can investigate these. If you focus your attention on particular plexus, that becomes active and gives you that focus energy. This is what I want to add about the chakras. Otherwise, it is you can read the chakras of Leadbeater's book.
Sir, I don't think Mr. Preetham is asking whether it is available in Hindi. I don't think the book Chakras is available in Hindi.
I am also no idea.
Okay, now let's go to the next question. This is about the number 82 and 83, Voice of Silence. The question by Shiva, Mr. Shiva is, please
Shiva
explain.
Subramaniam?
Shiva Subramaniam. Please explain the connection between seeing and hearing, hearing to see, and seeing to hear clearly. This is coming in 82.
Seeing and hearing, it is like a, as I said, it is a Jain cone. Unless you hear, you cannot see. Unless you see, you cannot hear. So hearing and seeing is the second stage. That is what I explained, Subramaniam ji. Because we learn that unless the condition or unless the candidate is responsive to the inner voice, and that unless he understands the spiritual laws and looks upon the things with the eyes of spirit, he will never see outer things as they really are. So, going deeper into the hidden truth of things, this is what expected a real effort from the aspirant. It is like a Jain cone, which I said, because mind cannot understand. It is beyond mind. This seeing and hearing is a coexistent state. Mind even cannot imagine in this coexisting state, because mind always thinks in terms of dividing, in terms of analyzing, in terms of dissecting. Only the innocent mind can understand this cone, that is seeing and hearing. Unless you hear, thou cannot see. And that is what H.P. Blavatsky said in The Secret Doctrine. She said, there is subjective as well as objective, this seeing and this one. How she explained, it is really interesting to, that is what I said. Yeah, HPB said in the realm of hidden forces, the audible sound is but a subjective, but an invisible sound. It is subjective as well as invisible sound. In the sense, how it is subjective? Subjective because color or form. See, the thunder, we listen it is subjective, we can see the color and form, light, etc. But that sound is invisible sound. I don't know how to explain it, but it is definitely beyond five senses. And what HBB said, five senses, there is complex world of human perception. Try to see this, how to be a balanced state, inner and outer conditions. So harmony within and outside is needed. That is what Subramaniam we will try to understand. I think
Thank you.
Subramaniam, have you heard it? He says thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome.
Sir, you could have answered it as saying hearing and seeing from the higher self, but you are not saying that. So I am puzzled
No,
why you are not
it is
saying
just
that.
answer. That will be reply then. You see from the higher self, you both. But it is a complex. Keep it as the complex. Don't. How can we answer that unless we know it? We just referring to this. But try. There is possibility. There is possibility. Because man can go beyond the mind. And what reality is to me is not reality to the other. So we cannot verbalize it. See, sometimes you surprise, you listen some sound, but nobody is there. Some sound came. Sometimes you see some light comes, but nobody is there. Dying persons I have seen, they are seeing light. Light is coming, light is coming. I don't know what they are seeing. So that is a subjective, life or form. That is what HPB points us to confirm it, investigate it.
Okay, so we are almost ending our time. So,
Vimal, you can close it.
yeah, okay. Okay, sir. Thank you, Shindeji, and looking forward to the closing of the fragment 1 next week. And thank you so much for giving us your time. So let us all join in our grateful thanks to Shindeji and to the Gandhinagar Lodge. Om असतो मा सद्गमयम् तामसो मा ज्योतिर्गमयम् मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमयम् सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामया सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Thank you, everybody.